Is GoldenEye 007 Reloaded worth playing in 2023? That's a question I will answer in this video based off when I played through the game recently. If you like this type of content, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to see more. Now, let's begin. GoldenEye 007 Reloaded is a remaster of a remake of GoldenEye 007. This game specifically remasters the Wii remake, which was released in 2010, with this version releasing only a year late for the Xbox 360 and PS3. In this remake, Pierce Brosnan is replaced with Daniel Craig, the current James Bond at the time, and tweaks are made to the story to keep it in line with Daniel Craig's Bond. Unsurprisingly, the graphics in this version are significantly superior to the original GoldenEye game and the Wii remake, with the extra graphical power the 360 and PS3 provide over the Wii. With Daniel Craig's Bond taking the helm this time, the story is set in between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall as a result. It's composed of 6 missions which occur in different locations across the world. However, there are a total of 14 levels to play through. The main story is estimated to take 6.5 hours to complete, while it took me about 8 hours to complete it. When I was playing through the story, I think I expected to complete it sooner and not take quite as long, even though it still only took me around 8 hours. Even so, I didn't really mind the story's length, and it was a game which I didn't have to dedicate that much time to. Notably, it would have taken me longer to complete the story due to the fact I racked up countless deaths, which shows that even on the easiest difficulty, Operative, the combat was challenging, and it also proves that as much as I enjoy first-person shooters, they are not my strong suit. Of course, what you'd really like to know is whether the actual story is good or bad, and I'd say it's decent, so it's in between. There are a few interesting twists along the way too. Concerning the gameplay, it plays like a typical first-person shooter. In the case of this game, you can carry 3 weapons. The default weapon, which is always in your possession, is the P99 pistol, while the other 2 slots are filled by weapons you can pick up during your playthrough, either from enemies you've killed or different areas of the map. You also have access to different gadgets in certain missions, which will each be useful in their own way. Being stealthy where you can is helpful and will save you time in missions while reducing the number of enemies you may end up having to fight in the same area if you are detected. The stealth aspect of the gameplay is one which I like because you can sneak around and pick off enemies one by one, either by using a pistol, equipped with a silencer, like the P99, or by performing a takedown on them, which makes your job easier in turn. On the other hand, you'll also find yourself in large shootout sequences where you can use the environment to your advantage by causing objects to explode, a gameplay mechanic I find quite entertaining, or taking cover behind objects. Even though I enjoyed the large shootouts, they were challenging, and these scenarios caused many of my in-game deaths. In certain areas, gameplay is made more cinematic when a slow motion sequence triggers once you bust a door open with enemies behind it. The game slows down for about 5 seconds to give you the opportunity to quickly dispatch multiple enemies. I found some of these sequences quite satisfying. Multiple QuickTime events are incorporated into the gameplay, and I can think of 2 examples where it took a while to find the object I had to interact with, where the button prompt would appear. I know that for one of these events, I ended up watching a playthrough so I could find the object I had to interact with. In terms of the difficulty, I'll just add that the final boss fight felt long, so it seemed as if it was taking ages to complete, even though it didn't end up taking that long. This was one example of the game being frustrating, thanks to its difficulty. David Arnold and Kevin Kiner composed the soundtrack for the game. Kevin Kiner was a name I recognised when I discovered he was one of the composers due to his work on Star Wars TV shows, such as The Clone Wars and Rebels. He has composed music for other well-known TV shows and films, but shows like these are what I know him from. When hearing the score for this game, the music has some similarities to what I've heard in The Clone Wars.
Go, go!
The other composer, David Arnold, is someone I'm unfamiliar with, yet he provided the score for 5 James Bond films, those being Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, in addition to some other popular films and TV shows. The collaboration of these 2 composers results in a good soundtrack, which sounds like it belongs in James Bond. Aside from the campaign, you can play MI6 mode and multiplayer, both of which I haven't played. MI6 mode consists of numerous challenges which are their own single player levels where you must complete a certain objective. Even though I haven't played this mode, it seems fun and makes this game more replayable. Meanwhile, multiplayer contains a plethora of game modes and the ability to play as classic characters from the Bond franchise, which is cool to know. Multiplayer could be played online where you can earn XP and level up, unlock items and have multipliers. From what can be gathered here, online multiplayer had a lot to offer. Unfortunately, the servers were shut down several years ago, so you cannot play online anymore. However, local multiplayer exists too, so you can play offline in split screen with up to 4 players, which means that will always be an option. Is GoldenEye 007 Reloaded worth playing in 2023? I believe it is. Even I, a non-James Bond fan, got some enjoyment out of this James Bond game due to its tactical stealth gameplay, along with the thrill of being in shootouts. Being able to bust through a door and pick off enemies can be a joy to see, although it's worth bearing in mind that this game is challenging due to the intelligent and tough AI, even on the easiest difficulty. As a result, it can be frustrating. 007 Reloaded doesn't hold your hand when it comes to figuring out where certain objects are in quick time events either, which, to be fair, adds to the realism. While the gameplay can feel quite repetitive, something I didn't mention is that there's a bit of vehicle gameplay to spice things up a bit. Overall, I would still recommend GoldenEye 007 Reloaded and say that it's worth playing, or at least trying. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this type of video. Be sure to give this video a like if you did, and maybe even subscribe to see more content like this, as well as reviews, playthroughs and game clips. Enjoy the rest of your day, and that is all.